Solana, Terra, Luna, and Polygon Matic price analysis for the second week of February. Use the tags down below to skip to the coin of interest. Are you ready? Let's go. We're going to start off with Luna right here, and for each of these three coins, I am going to begin with a small term, short time frame, and then go to a larger time frame to assure continuity between the two. Right now, what I have on the chart is the 1 hour with an EMA fill. If the two EMAs are the 55 and the 200, and again, this is the 1 hour time frame. When the 55 is on top of the 200, then it's green. When the 55 goes below the 200, then it's red. That's what you're viewing, and you can essentially use that the rest of this analysis for the other coins as well. If Luna is going to maintain on top of this origin line, and if you want me to zoom out real quick, ignore the green and red stuff, this origin line right here that I'm moving around is of prime importance. So you can see that it gets a lot of price history correct. You had, this top here. It roughly, actually the origin line just below it was the support, but that same origin line was the resistance during the Wyckoff stuff, and then you had the big pump once price got back on top of it, and price is just now revisiting the same origin line. You see that? All right, and that's what we're dealing with. It's a very important line throughout Luna price history. Therefore, to be nimble on your feet to tell if Luna's going to be able to hold that or not is using really short-term time frames with longer EMAs. Again, the 55 and the 1 hour. Luna is going to need to use the 1 hour 200 as support, and so far it has been. And there are some, I guess, similar things that happen when right before this starts flipping red and Luna has a down target. Is a lot of times this can stay green with Luna short-term price going below it, but on the first or second push up, often the first, Luna will get straight back up in there and specifically not use the 1 hour 200 EMA as resistance. Not use it as resistance. That is the key. So Luna is not a death sentence for it to really tank down if price goes below for a minute. The idea is it does not come back up and use that as resistance. Let's take a few examples here. This is honestly a perfect example. This is about as good as it gets. Made a charge up, this flipped green, came below it, which is not the death sentence, but look what happened the very next candle. Came up to it, then got rejected. That is your key indicator that this is going to turn, not just, go from green to red, but it's going to be a longer portion of red there. That's specifically, the telltale sign. Same thing here. Walked out of this, the 55 EMAs on top of the 200. It comes down, not a death sentence, came back up, got rejected by it, head back down. And once you start seeing that big red candle after some form of rejection, that's your telltale sign that it's going to flip red and stay red for a little bit. And here's the opposite. Here is a case where it did go below, but immediately got right back through the channel. You see that? It's kind of hard to see these green candles here, but because it's green on green, maybe I can make the opacity just a little bit less here. There you go. Maybe a little easier to see like that. And I think, though, Luna, with Bitcoin's little, CME gap that it needs to fill, and I'll link you to my Bitcoin analysis here at the end of the video, but I think this, some version of price going below the 1 hour 200 is going to happen, okay? However, the key is to make sure that it goes back above without using it as resistance. Now, long-term time frames for Luna, I would use two different EMAs for the weekly. I'm going to go to, so I'm on the weekly chart. I'm going to switch this to the 10 and the 21 EMAs of the weekly. And, this, I don't think that's ever, it did flip red for a little bit during Wyckoff, but I mean, getting rejected by this isn't the best thing, and it looks like the weekly is potentially getting rejected by this origin line. All right? Something to note on the weekly, though, is the RSI here. Let me try to make this a little bit bigger. The weekly RSI. The Luna price did just get booted out of the bullish control zone for the first time since July 2021, so about 7-8 months or whatever. Usually after a big down move, price likes to at least come up to check the EMA. And it hasn't done that. If it chooses not to do it, that means Luna RSI will very likely want to test down to the red before then, and so that would allow this EMA of the RSI, the 12 EMA, drag down, and then it tests it, and then potentially forms higher lows. This is a pretty weak attempt to come back up and test that. So this is a pretty normal attempt, right? Where RSI used the bullish control zone as support, came up to essentially retest and check that before it moved down. This is a pretty weak attempt. I would have expected Luna price to go much higher, so it almost indicates there might be news about it. Something happened, but I mean, the buyer base, it looks like they became very less interested in this coin. That is something. So I did predict, a 50% down move, and people, were kind of giving me crap about that. Didn't expect it. And I was 8 days off of that, of those levels being hit. But something I did not foresee is not getting this buyback. So it looks like something either has happened with the project or something lackluster. Almost, so this is an example of seeing the news in the charts. Something that it takes years for most people in crypto to finally figure out. You don't know what the news is, but you can still see it in the charts. It looks like there's some type of lackluster, maybe not death sentence news, but something not the greatest in the charts, because typically with that strong a price action, you would have a buyback, and you would have expected Luna to have a rally. I mean, at least a wick above the weekly 10. It's having trouble getting above the weekly 21, which is down here. And maybe since this was so strong, I would have imagined potentially a pump all the way up to $70 back into this channel. And this channel makes more sense if I'm on a smaller time frame. This channel that's gotten all the lower highs correct. I mean, I guess Luna does have a chance to still get up there, but I would have thought the reaction would be more immediate to get up there, a very violent reaction up. And it looks like a lot of the Luna, buyer base might simply be less interested in the project. That would be my idea, right there. So make sure to follow me on Twitter at @𝐾𝐢𝐬𝐼𝐻𝑖𝑔𝐻 and links to my Discord community where I have 8 live calls, live calls a week. Description section has the links to that. And if online communities aren't your thing, but you want exclusive content above and beyond what I offer on YouTube, hit the join button below this video, and more options will pop up in a new video. And also take a quick second to hit like for me. It's going to help out the algo so I can continue making these videos for you. And it's hard enough being a content creator when crypto's going down anyway. So give your content creator a little love and leave me a quick comment down below where you think price of Luna is going to go. And what we're going to do now is we're going to jump, we're going to transition over into the other two tokens, Polygon, Matic, and Solana. Let's get after it. Oh yeah, there's my Luna background. I kind of forgot to put that on, didn't I? All right, let's jump back in. But before we get there, though, look. I think one of these two triangles is going to be hit. I don't think there's a lot of in between. So that's why it's important to look at my Bitcoin analysis. I think Luna is going to work its way down here to get to this origin line, or it will end up getting that pump to get into that channel. I don't see a lot of in between. Now, this is going to be mid to late February, about February 20th when this triangle starts. But just going straight through the middle, I can't see that happening. Therefore, focusing on the short-term timeframes like the 1 hour 200 EMA is going to be important to get an idea of which one it's going to hit. Because right now it is dead in the middle. It's hard to tell, and really the market in general is pretty hard to tell which direction it's going to want to go. That's why you need to be on your feet with the short-term timeframes with the longer-term EMAs. Let's flip over to Solana here. All right. Same idea with Solana. Let's actually start with the weekly on this. I want to start with the weekly so you can start with the big term timeframes in mind. Let's get rid of this, and this is already played out, so I don't have to. I guess I can get rid of that. All right. Look, this EMA fill of the 10 and 21 turned red. Zoom out. Hasn't happened before with Solana since, early of last year. This is a pretty serious sign. A very, very serious sign here. And I am a little surprised that Solana is, flipping its week red already. And it didn't even give the bottom of this channel, which would be the weekly 10. It didn't even come up to touch that, while Ethereum, both Ethereum and Bitcoin have come up to touch their weekly 10. That's a pretty weak reaction. It's a very weak reaction. And so Luna is weak, in my opinion, because it didn't come up to the trading channel, neither is Solana, but at least Luna is, closer to its weekly EMAs. This stayed a long way away, which means I would guess that either this week simply isn't done and it's going to flip green, which is possible. Therefore, on your chart, I would mark a line specifically for Solana at the weekly open. Okay, and when you hover over this, you can typically tell up here. Actually, you can't see it, but up in that direction, you can see the weekly open. It's at 115.26. Put my cursor at 115. Yeah, that's close enough. I would put a line there so that when you go into the hourly, and maybe even take off the EMA fill, if price can get back above that line and use it as support, that could potentially work as a decent long signal, because that means the weekly is going to flip back green and probably keep its momentum with the green week. However, if you see price come up and use this as resistance, the week's probably going to stay red, especially with an extra point of resistance, and then the week will really flip red. So that is a very important line for Solana. Now, the 1 hour EMAs, so I am on the 1 hour chart. I will switch the fill to 55 and 200. Same thing. The 200 EMA on the 1 hour chart is a pretty special line. Let's go ahead and do that. Again, same idea. It's not a death sentence for price to go below the 1 hour 200 EMA. You simply don't want to see it used as a rejection point. So therefore, Luna and Solana both look like they will head down below. The question is, will it bounce back up straight through it and then, come above this line potentially, which is the weekly line we just marked, or is it going to come down, use it as resistance, and then maybe try to find a support at this obvious trend line that everybody is probably looking at who analyzes Solana? It's, if it uses the 1 hour 200 as a resistance point, that is the next stop, is about $103. However, if price can go stay above or get back above the 1 hour 200 EMA, I think Solana, and this would require Bitcoin to really bounce as well. Therefore, you need to stay in tune with Bitcoin. But comes back low, races above. I think Solana's green week could take it. Potentially as high as when this week. Yeah, $125. That is a big range, from 103 to 125. However, here's the key, though. This analysis allows you to be nimble. Given that price is in the middle, it gives you the idea on what to look out for, the telltale signs, so that before it moves down here, you're catching it there. Or before it moves up to 125, you know what signs to look out for, particularly this line, the weekly open. If it can get back above there, it's probably going to race, closer to $125. And that is Solana. Now let's move on to Polygon Matic. All right. I have a couple targets here for Polygon Matic. It's similar to my two triangles that I made for Luna. The bottom of this triangle is made by this dotted origin line that you can barely see. The blue line is obvious, point of the it's all your lower highs. Now, if Bitcoin can continue rocking and rolling, and the same 1 hour EMA fill with the 55 and 200, I do believe is there. Yeah, 55 and 200. What you're going to see, if this top triangle is going to be it, is you're going to see the price stay above the 1 hour 200, work its way above this blue line here, above the blue line, and work its way up. Right now it's in the middle of these two, right? This is a pretty big triangle. Maybe I should make it a little smaller. If it can't do that, if it can't break above this line, and along with Bitcoin doesn't go up, Polygon Matic, in order to break above that line, will probably fill out some of this space in this triangle that is based off this origin line. And so it might see this point of control within the whole range. This point, actually maybe honestly, maybe only a wick down to that, come back up to the point of control, and then try to bust out. But that could take it into March. So that's a big difference, right? Immediately going back up to $2.70, or taking till March before a breakup, and it goes all the way down to a dollar 42. That's a big difference. And right now it's in the middle. And it really just obviously depends on how well Bitcoin and Ethereum do. But these are the two targets that can easily hit. And I'm trying to show you ways to figure out, okay, what are the telltale signs of which one's going to be hit so I can act the fastest. Let's go to the weekly here so we can take a look at Matic's weekly EMAs. Let me switch these back to the 10 and the 21. Okay, now this is a good reaction actually for Polygon. So Solana couldn't even come up to test its bottom side of this channel with the weekly EMAs, nor could it test the trend line of lower highs. Right? Luna only tested one EMA of the channel, but did not test this trend line high. Matic has done both. Can you see the difference there? If you just skip straight to this section, in essence, Polygon Matic, its reaction, its buyback is a lot stronger, which indicates the buyers who have been interested in this coin throughout the bull run are coming back in greater percentages and greater quantities in raw money, market buying with this rally. It's got a, I don't know, its base of buyers is stronger than these other two coins, you couldn't necessarily tell that by listening to news or whatever, but looking at this chart, it's extremely, extremely obvious. And I would honestly feel if Bitcoin were to, come back and test its origin line, and if you don't know what that means because you don't watch my Bitcoin videos, just go ahead and check it out. I'll link you to it at the end. But, I personally would be more interested in trying to ride Polygon Matic for a nice pump up as opposed to those other two coins, because this reaction has been so much better. I would prefer to buy a token with a stronger team if I were wanting to trade a spot trade. Spot trades means you're not using futures or leverage. But if I were wanting to trade to the upside, I would prefer to be with a team that's stronger. And the team Matic seems, in terms of buyers, as of recently, it is stronger than the other two coins and potentially stronger than them combined, is particular to its reaction up. So I don't see much wrong with this chart. Obviously, it's all going to depend on Bitcoin, but these would be the two triangles, and then how to quickly identify which one of those triangles is going to be hit, because it is a big difference. And I don't want to just make one guess. Rather, I want to tell you what to look for specifically to get the earliest sign possible of which one's going to be hit. And hopefully I've achieved that. So if you didn't check out my Bitcoin analysis from earlier today, check out this video make sure you click that video and then click this video if you want to learn how to set up a chart on TradingView. I made a tutorial for new folks new to crypto. It's 28 minutes long. Be the best 28 minutes you can spend in crypto. And if you're new, click the circle in the middle to subscribe. You just got Timified. Peace.